If you've braved your way through the Steam community for Dragon Age the Veilguard, then you too know the disgusting cesspit that place has rapidly evolved into. You can't take 2 steps without tripping over someone complaining that the game looks like woke propaganda. These people, of course, I doubt could even provide an answer as to what they think woke actually means without showing their whole bigot asses. And frankly, I don't think these people actually deserve the justification of responding to their little comments, so to be clear, this is not for them. This is making fun of them and calling them what they are: fake fans. From my own observations, it seems the complaints from these fake fans can easily be boiled down to 3 categories. Category 1, complaining that characters of color exist. Category 2, complaining that female characters exist and/or do not meet their beauty standards. And Category 3, complaining that disabled characters exist. What a boring world these gamer bros must live in, measuring fiction as bad if it doesn't exclusively represent a cis-het white able-bodied male alone. But what really truly baffles me is the idea that this is somehow new to the Dragon Age franchise. Has Dragon Age had a problem with lacking representation in characters of color in the past? Absolutely. There could have been way more of them, and those that do exist could be less ambiguous. But they are there, they do exist, and they always have existed. Yes, even in Elves. Zevran is a main character in Dragon Age Origins. He has the 2nd darkest skin tone available in the game. Fenris is a main character in Dragon Age 2. He has light brown skin. Brialla may appear whitewashed in Dragon Age Inquisition, but in the book released before the game where she is a main character, Dragon Age: The Masked Empire, she's explicitly described to have darker skin. Vea, a main character from Dragon Age Knight Errant and subsequent comics, is black, as confirmed by one of the comic writers. And Miriam, the main character from Dragon Age Absolution, also has brown skin. I could go on, listing plenty of supporting and minor characters too, but I shouldn't have to. Because the point is, within the lore of Dragon Age, elves are canonically just as diverse in appearance as humans and dwarves. Keep in mind, elves are the native inhabitants to Thedas, and Thedas is large with a variety of real-life global influences. It makes complete and total sense for an elf with present-day Ravani roots to look different from an elf with present-day Ferelden roots, just like it makes complete and total sense for the same to be said of the humans who have settled in these places. Also, the so-called argument that the concept of an elf comes from Western European folklore, and therefore elves can't possibly be anything but white, is so ridiculous. First, it perpetuates the myth that Western Europe is only home to white people, which hasn't been the case for thousands of years, including times from which elven folklore originates. Second, the elves of Dragon Age have very little in common with the elves of Germanic folklore. The developers chose to take inspiration primarily from indigenous cultures, Jewish cultures, and Romani cultures instead. Yes, I will continue to remind everyone of this until my dying breath. Davrin being overtly black is a positive thing. Bellara being overtly Asian is a positive thing too, especially, one could argue, for her, given the extreme lack of Asian representation in Dragon Age thus far. Before Bellara, there was just Dorian and his father, who are coded as Indian per developer commentary, and a handful of minor characters who one could debate as trying to make the character creators work within their limited capacities. It seems to me that Dragon Age the Veilguard is looking at the problem of lacking thought-out racial diversity and trying to improve it. Has Dragon Age also had a problem with the treatment of their female characters? Absolutely, especially in Dragon Age Origins. That game begins by saying women are treated equally in the character creator, only for you to reach Ostagar and be hit with 20 misogynistic comments a second, but by the time Inquisition comes around, things have drastically improved. Within the universe of Dragon Age, everywhere except Tevinter, women exclusively hold the most powerful positions in the chantry. Men are simply not allowed to hold high rank because the chant teaches that they are too vulnerable to anger. The misogyny present in the first 2 Dragon Age games does not actually make any sense lore-wise. Listen, I like women too, but unlike these pathetic babies, I am capable of seeing female characters as more than just something to jerk it to. I also have taste, where apparently they do not. It is in my opinion that every single companion introduced for the Veilguard has a design that is hot as hell. The art department really outdid themselves. They literally look like they just walked off a runway, yet at the same time, they all look unique, with bits of character flavoring coming through too. And thank God there is no same face syndrome. But here's my assumption. This complaining that the women are not hot enough for these people is just more racism. Lace Harding is the only white woman in the companion lineup, and they don't think she counts because she's a dwarf, which we'll get to in a minute. Bellara is Asian, and I believe Niv is too. As a Qunari, Tash is 2 other coded for them as well. These fake fans like to compare everything to The Witcher because with The Witcher, they can pretend people of color don't exist. Finally, let's talk about the ableism present in these comments. There has only been one physically disabled character in the Dragon Age universe before the Veilguard, Iron Bull in Inquisition. I hope that Nev brings some wonderful added representation into the franchise, and judging by her story in Winter Nights, it looks pretty positive. Her prosthetic is only mentioned when it's relevant to what she's doing, and it's never described as a nuisance or something wrong with her. It's just part of who she is. One of the grossest comments I've seen is from a user who thinks that being interested in a disabled person is only, quote, an erotic fetish. That is so dehumanizing. Disabled people deserve authentic love and care, and just because these folks don't see disabled people as people, doesn't mean the rest of the world feels that way. Additionally, it would be remiss of me not to mention an elephant in the room: dwarves. In the universe of Dragon Age, dwarves are a fictional race of people, like elves are, but in real life there are people with the condition of dwarfism, which folklore of dwarves dramatizes. It is no mistake from one of these fake fans commenting, "Everyone is either black or Asian or dwarf." It is them including dwarfism as something they see wrong with a character. It is yet another case of ableism. A lot of these fake fans are calling Dragon Age the Veilguard the downfall of BioWare. I couldn't feel any more the opposite. I truly believe that this game could be the studio's next magnum opus, and I feel so positive about it. Why? Because I feel like BioWare is making an effort. I feel like they care about their art, and the message their art contributes to the game industry. That message being, video games are not just for cishet white men. Video games are for everyone, and everyone deserves to see themselves in a medium they care about. And don't get me wrong, EA and BioWare are, of course, still primarily interested in just making money, like any other big company. But I want to believe the real people who worked on this game did what they could to create a game that is inclusive and inviting to fans, old and new. And that is why I hope this game pays no attention to these fake fans, who probably didn't even play the entire first 3 games anyway, judging by how poorly they remember them. I love Dragon Age. I don't say that enough, but I do. I have read all the novels, all the comics, multiple times. I treat the world of Theda's books like a Bible. I adore the Netflix cartoon. I have put thousands of hours into each game, and I will likely put 1,000 more into the Veilguard. So I think I have every right to believe that I am far more qualified to judge the game than any of these fake fans. So I hope you'll take my word over theirs when I say, I think Dragon Age the Veilguard looks great, and I can't wait to play it.